fire, you light my fire. Feel alive, I feel alive. You blow my mind. I can't find my microphone. There we go. You could hear that. Good, jeez, no, I'm joking. How are you all doing? Good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a wee kind of Sunday bonus live stream. I would normally typically do the pre-match live stream, the starting 11 reaction live streams, but I will be at Rugby Park this afternoon. I'm leaving to go and get the bus very shortly. So I decided, why not go to a wee bonus live stream earlier on in the day, discuss today's match, discuss the transfer rumours that are doing rounds this morning, and just have a general catch up, get your questions, give you my answers, just effectively catch up on all things Celtic. Took a wee day off yesterday from talking about the frustrations of the summer transfer window, and it's right back to that today. And as I can see from the group chat, I might see the live chat. As I can see from the live chat, it seems we are all getting a little bit frustrated with that window. I say a little bit frustrated. I think you've all felt my frustration for well north of a week now. I've felt really down and out about it for a while. And I think we're all just catching up now. I mean, a lot of us have been in that same boat, but there's been people that's been saying, give him time. Martin O'Neill's just through the door. We sacked a manager, and citing the same excuses that the board would effectively. But I think we all know now, 18 days in the window, we only have a loaned in right back to show for it. And I mean, as Oggy Boy has just said in the chat there, lots of inquiries, a lot of preparation, a lot of monitoring situations, a lot of evaluating the scenario, a lot of exploring the deals, but nothing actually done. So we have a bit to cover in relation to all that, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of moans along the way. Thank you to Beam McCann for being a member for 16 months. I appreciate that, brother. Good to see you in the stream, and it's good to see all the rest of you. Join in. We'll get to the Q&A segment very, very soon. We have transfer rumours to go through. Look, listen, can I just be blunt about things? Like, can I just be effective? I just want to cut. I want to say it as effectively as I can say it, right? I'm fed up, right? I am. I'm fed up, and I don't shoot the messenger. You know, I done a video the other day, and there was a lot of comments like, "What's even the point? What's the point? What's the point?" The point is, it's my job to talk about these rumours that are out there. But I am also fed up with it, and I get it. I totally understand the frustration, but sadly, I have no real power in all of this. I'm not the one that should be out there signing players for Celtic. I merely talk about it on a YouTube channel, and I'm lucky enough to make a living out of doing that. So I can only use what's out there, and I also am getting fed up with it. I think that you can probably feel that from my videos. If you're watching them on the daily, then you'll know that it is getting pretty tedious. I'm fed up with Celtic being linked with strikers rather than going in and getting a striker. I'm fed up with us looking at centre halves or whatever other position and maybe evaluating it. I just want us to go and spend some money. We aren't in a place to arse about, and it's been a wild weekend in Scottish football. We've just seen two massive knockouts in the Scottish Cup. Hearts and Hibs both out to the hands of Dunfermline and Falkirk, of all teams. But, you know, that's in the Scottish Cup. In the league, we still have a massive season ahead of us. And a massive few months where so much can be won or lost. And in the next few weeks, we go to Tynecastle next weekend. It's all well and good playing Auchinleck Talbot, a non-league side today. But next weekend, we go to Tynecastle. Hearts will be a wounded animal, and I know that they've just lost Lawrence Shankland. I know that they'll be without Cammy Devlin, and I know that they'll be without Benny Beningame. I know that they're not at their strongest, but they will be a wounded animal. They'll be at Tynecastle, a place where they've already beaten us this season. A place where they've beaten us a few times over the past few years. And we're going to be in a situation where that game will come and go, no matter the result. We're going to end up with panic signings anyway. It's getting very tedious. So, if you're frustrated at me, you're aiming your frustrations in the wrong place. But today we have got more transfer rumours doing the rounds. A couple actually as of this morning. One indicating a striker that Celtic are looking at that we're going to kick off with. And also an exclusive from Mark Hendry stating that Celtic did make an approach for a winger. And we'll come on to that story second before I get into the Q&A and before we talk about today's match. But the big one today, and one that particularly excites me, I'm not going to lie, is this one on screen now. Let me head over to the article that was broke by the Daily Record this morning, that Celtic are eyeing up Jonas of Wolfsburg in a cut price deal, but they aren't the only club interested. Now, I'm sure you've all seen this by now, and of course he's in the thumbnail for today's live stream. But Celtic are apparently eyeing up a move potentially for Jonas van der Wolfsburg, who's not had a great season admittedly, and this is one of these players that is going to, and I would be the first to admit this, it makes me sound so hypocritical. It makes me the prime example for a hypocritical football fan that chops and changes what they talk about. I have been sitting here saying I don't want Celtic to sign players that are out of favour. I don't want Celtic to sign players that are injured. But I have seen Jonas Vind's name this morning, and I go, if he's available, you can't pass up on a player like that. I've always liked Jonas Vind. I think he's a good player. I think he would be a great player at Celtic. Once again, could be completely wrong in that. I said that Balakwisha would be a great player at Celtic, and we look where that's got us. I think it would be daft to pass up on this. But this is the thing, I get it, reservations about injuries and whatnot. Celtic shouldn't be signing just one striker in this window anyway. We should be signing two. There's no reason why we can't be out there signing a Jonas Vind and somebody else on top of that. You know, there's no reason why we can't get Jonas Vind and David Datro Fofana on loan, or Jonas Vind and Maswanisi of Motherwell, or Jonas Vind and somebody else. This won't happen. It's far too good to be true. Because Jonas Vind is a top player. And apparently Celtic will have to battle it out with Leon to sign him. I just don't see it. But this, for me, is the kind of rumour that I could only have dreamed of even this time a year ago. I don't know what's happened with Jonas Vind this season to leave him in the situation where he's in. But apparently his Wolfsburg career's over. His Wolfsburg are ready to move him on. And Celtic are one of the teams eyeing up a cut price deal. So let's go through the actual article for a moment and see what things are being said. Celtic could be set to battle it out with Leon to sign long-term target Jonas Vind. The Wolfsburg striker is currently sidelined after undergoing an operation on a thigh injury, but is expected to be back by the end of the month. Celtic have been linked with a move for the Danish hitman, who would be available for a cut price fee because his contract is up at the end of the summer. Celtic were first credited with an interest, and I think you'll remember us talking about this in the channel years ago, and this is what I'm saying, I've always kind of liked him, because I remember talking about him a few years ago when he played for Copenhagen. The move of course failed to materialise. He ended up getting that big move to Wolfsburg for £12 million, and he's been pretty good for them. 31 goals in 84 games. And this season it's not really clicked for him. He's not getting a new contract, or he doesn't want to sign a new contract, and that effectively means that he will probably move in this January window should Wolfsburg be able to pick up some people talking about fees as cheap as something like £3-4 million. That's the sort of price that Celtic should be flying in for. I think that this is very low risk, considering where we are right now, and this is where I think the bottom line comes for me with someone like Jonas Vind, right? If you pay £3 million and it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Especially for a player who, in my opinion, is definitely the calibre of player that is good enough for Celtic. I think that this is a player that would be, you know, even when he was leaving Copenhagen and going to Wolfsburg at the time back in 2021, that was the sort of player that I was like, that would be a dream come true to sign someone like him at Celtic. Didn't get that move to Celtic, of course. Ended up in the Bundesliga, where he's been pretty effective for Wolfsburg over the course of his 4 years there coming up. And at only 26 years of age, once again, £3 million for someone who, and I seen someone just baldy prick literally stealing the words out my mouth in the chat. This is somebody who is comfortably better than any striker we have at the club. And I think you could maybe stretch that argument to saying comfortably better than any attacker we have at the club. And the reservations about injury is absolutely fair enough. But once again, for £3 million for a guy that's going to be fit in February, I think you've got to go for it. I think you've got to throw the house at it, to be quite honest. In my opinion. Is it right? Is it wrong? That's for you to determine. I get that he's not going to be fit for the Hearts game. I get that he might not be fit properly until mid-February. But for £3-4 million, you cannot pass up on this, in my opinion. And this is the reason why, if I head over to Transfermarkt for a moment, trusty Transfermarkt, he's just a good player. At Copenhagen, he knew where the net was. At Wolfsburg, he's known where the net was. Last season, In the 24-25 campaign, he got 11 goals. The season before that, in the 23-24 campaign, he got 12 goals. He's playing at a very high level in the Bundesliga, with a Wolfsburg side that has been up and down in recent years as well. Copenhagen, when he was a young lad, definitely impressed at such a young age, coming through in the under-19s and then into the senior team. I just think, and you know, he's played in big clubs, Copenhagen and Wolfsburg. This isn't some diddy that's played in some second-tier Eastern European team. This is somebody that got a £12 million move to Wolfsburg for a reason. But because of all of that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the thing is about Jonas Vind, something that I've always liked about him, is that he's not just a guy that can score goals, he's a creative. He, as you can see here, he can get in behind a centre forward or behind a striker into the attacking midfield areas, and he can create. And that's something that I've always liked about Jonas Vind as well. He's always been a go-to for me in Football Manager, you know that. He's always been a go-to for me. But, you know, jokes aside for a moment, I think this is just one that Celtic would be so daft to pass up on. And if there's any real possibility of bringing him to the club, you've got to go for it. I mean, he's been capped 37 times for the Danish national side. He's scored 8 goals for them while doing so. This is a level above some of the players we've been linked with, in my opinion. And as I said, it doesn't need to end there. If you go and spend 3 or 4 million on Jonas Vind, then you can easily go and sign another striker for another couple of £1 million. Or you can go and get your loan striker till the end of the season. Because this is someone that I think future-proofs you. If you sign him on a 4 or 5 year contract, my goodness. You know, you're, number one, you're going to guarantee yourself a profit if he performs, which is an if, of course. But you're also future-proofing. You're also getting stuff done. And I get it, short term, because of this injury that keeps him out to the end of the month, not great, but long term, I don't think Celtic will be linked with many better strikers than Jonas Vind. I really don't think that will happen. So, for me, I hope this amounts to something. Just to reiterate the point, thank you to Aidan for the $1.99, by the way, saying, going to end up with Brian Graham or something. Probably. You know, the thing is, I'm talking about how much I would like it, how much I want it to happen. The fact of the matter is, Celtic probably won't make it happen. Leon, who have been in their financial difficulties in recent years, feel like the kind of side that Celtic should be able to go out and compete with, considering that. But we won't. We'll actively put our own chances down because of how bad we are at dealing and negotiating and putting out contracts. So, just to reiterate, set to battle it out with Leon according to the record. He is out until the end of the month with after an operation on a thigh injury, but he's expected to be back by February. And he's being linked with us right now in a cut price deal. So, yeah, for me, this is the top one so far. If you just want my opinion, which this channel is for, out of every striker we've been linked with so far, Jonas Vind would be absolutely the top striker, I think. I like the look of Kovacevic, who now looks to be completing a move to Ferencváros. Robbie Keane has beat us to that. But aye, there you go. That's one of the big stories today. I'll come back to that. I'm sure you've got plenty of questions, plenty of points that you would like to get across. We'll revisit it. There was also a story by Mark Hendry this morning in regards to attackers and a winger. And that was in regards to Jerison Raksaki of Crystal Palace, who you may have heard of in the past. Now, Mark Hendry broke this exclusive this morning that Celtic have actually approached Crystal Palace in terms to discuss terms of a loan move for Jerison Raksaki, but a disagreement over the structure of the deal is currently keeping the two clubs apart. So, I don't know, this has just came out the blue. We have heard his name mentioned with Scottish football clubs before. I think it was Rangers, actually, who were trying to get him in the summer. He spent the first half of the season on loan in Turkey, I believe, and he's now just back to Crystal Palace. But Celtic here and Mark Hendry are reporting that Celtic are keen on bringing him to Glasgow on loan to the end of the season after tracking him since last summer. He spent the first part of the campaign at Kakir Rizespor, but Celtic are now exploring the possibility of talking to him and bring him in before the window closes. Stoke City, Swansea City, both interested clubs. Palace are open to allow him to leave, but would strongly prefer any loan deal to include an obligation to buy. So this is what complicates the move. Celtic apparently don't want to have an obligation to buy. They only want to have an option to buy rather than an obligation, which of course sums us up. I think Raksaki by all accounts looks like a good player. I can understand the reservations because this is where it gets difficult, and it depends how much you like the look of the player, I suppose, right? Crystal Palace apparently want a permanent fee that will be in the region of £8 million. Celtic aren't a club that are going to operate, and we never have been a club that are operating with obligations to buy for that sort of fee. We're just not going to do it. Because if he came in and he stunk the gaff out and he didn't kick on and he wasn't very good and we were expected to part with £8 million in the summer, it does carry a significant risk. A risk that it feels like you need to take at this stage, just considering where we are. If you think that's the player, then good. You can't just go out there and take a sample of a player. You can't just go out there and expect to be given favours left, right and centre. You know, sometimes you need to go out there and, you know, effectively sign the player. £8 million though, that is a lot of money, especially when I don't know if there's enough there to suggest that he's an £8 million talent to Celtic. This is the exact opposite for me with someone like Jonas Veen. Jonas Veen is someone for me who's went out and he's proven that he's worth every single penny of a potential transfer fee, because he's scored goals for Copenhagen, he's scored goals for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. Rak-Saki, he's not exactly done that for me yet, or he's not showed the proof. So I don't know what to make of it. In one hand of me, I want Celtic go out there and spend money, but I need evidence that this is a guy that's going to be worth £8 million. Because in Turkey, he scored 4 goals this season, which, fair enough, is, you know, 11 games, 4 goals, not a bad return in the Super League. But he's played in the Championship last year with Sheffield United. What would we think if Celtic signed a Championship winger for £8 million? I don't know. Listen, I just want us to sign players. 23, young English talent, probably going to have a lot of upside there. He is valued at around that £5 to £6 million mark anyway. So if you want him, if you seriously want him, this is the money you have to pay. So I find myself in two minds about the Rak-Saki deal. I can understand that £8 million is a lot if that is what Palace are demanding. But at the same time, if you want talent, this is the footballing world now. And Celtic aren't short of money. We have upwards of 70 million in the bank. So, my opinion is, this is my final, my bottom line with someone like Rak-Saki is, if he is who you want, if he's the guy that you have pointed out and said, that's him, then don't hold back. Go and get him. But if there's other guys there that you think you can get that are arguably better, then maybe go and explore other deals. But don't arse about. Don't extend this period of uncertainty, and don't make things more difficult than they already are. Give the fans something to be excited about. And if that's signing a winger for £8 million, then go and do it. You know? The fact of the matter is Celtic won't. And if they do try and negotiate an option to buy, then this is what will happen. And I guess this is where the people who will say just go and pay the money will get their point across. Because if they do manage to negotiate an option to buy for Rak-Saki, right, it would have to be probably upwards of £10 million. That's the only way I think Palace will meet in the middle there. I think they would say, okay, well, if you're going to play that card, we want to have maybe an 11 or £12 million option to buy. And then obviously the boy comes in. If he does well, you're then going, oh, why did we not just pay the £8 million? You know, so it's you win one way, you lose another. It's not an easy negotiation, and this is why I've always sort of been against loaning in players from the Premier League in the first place. I think there's a whole wide world of wingers to go and look at. It doesn't need to be Premier League loans from Crystal Palaces and whatever else. But yeah, that seems to be the state of play. We'll see if anything else develops from that. That was a Mark Hendry exclusive this morning. So just to reiterate, apparently Celtic have started some form of negotiation. They approached Crystal Palace about a loan move. Disagreement over the structure of the deal is holding it back from happening. And that's because of the arguments over a loan or an obligation to buy. So, yeah, two big stories this morning. Jonas Veen by Mark Walker and Graham Young of The Record, and Mark Hendry reporting the story about Jerison Rak-Saki at Crystal Palace. We'll see what happens. I just want players through the door, ladies and gents. I just want players through the door. I want them through the door soon. I want them through the door now. We're 18 days into the window. We don't have a striker. So, let's get to the chat. I'm only going to be live for about 10 or 15 more minutes, so I do want to get as many of your points in as possible before I do log off. Let me know what you think of these transfer rumours. Celtic, of course, take on Auchinleck Talbot in the Scottish Cup today. There probably won't be a match reaction tonight because I'm getting the bus. Time I get back after the bus, I'm probably going to go for a couple of pints. If we lose somehow, then there will be a match reaction. But I'm hardly going to have a lot to talk about if we beat a junior side. Right, so let's go in to the chat. I'm going to start with Rian, who says Rak-Saki is shite. 8 million could be spent on far better. We would genuinely have just anybody in at this rate. An absolutely shambolic window, which is something that I agree with 100%. Baldy Prick saying in regards to that, no point in obligations to buy. Just pay the money at that point. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. If they're going to go on obligation to buy £8 million, you may as well just go, well, take the £8 million now. Once again, Celtic aren't strapped for cash. So, you know, I don't see any excuses, really. Paul, how you doing, Paul? Good to see you. Really hate to compare us to them across the city, but look how quickly they're getting their business done. They're going all out in the title race while we're sleepwalking. And that's, for me, just something that's so significant about this transfer window that we're living through right now. You can say what you want about the players Rangers are signing. They might be good, they might be shite. Rangers have had a really bad stretch of recruitment. Just as bad as Celtics, if not worse, actually. When was the last time you remember Rangers having a really good transfer window? A window where they've signed 4 or 5 great players. I can't remember one. So people are going, oh, it's fine, they just signed shite anyway. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is that they're doing business and they're taking this potential title charge seriously. Whereas we are fucking sleepwalking. So I don't care about the players they're signing. People can go, oh, he's shite. At least they're signing. At least there's intent behind what Rangers are doing. Whereas, I don't know what we're doing. We're sitting in the fucking Parkhead boardroom with our thumbs up our arses playing Operation. I don't know what's going on. So, it's just painful. Thank you to Callum for the donation, mate. God bless you, Ryan, lad. God bless you too, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Let's keep going with the points and the questions about everything. If you want to talk about Jonas Vind, feel free to do so. If you want to talk about Jerison Rakisaki, feel free to do so. If you want to talk about tonight's game, feel free to do so. Talk about whatever you like. Kevin Twist saying he's an exciting young winger, but is he worth £8 million? Probably not. Do we need a right winger though? Yes, spend the money. This is the thing. You've summed it up perfectly, Kevin, because Celtic aren't in a position now to be picky, are we? I think if we had quality right wingers, we could sit here and go, he's not worth £8 million. Or we go somewhere else. But right now, we're like, well, if he's the only option there, we need to take it. That's where the Celtic board have backed us to. They've backed us into this corner where we're having to go, just spend the money, no matter what we think about the player. And that's such a damning place to be. It's a terrible place to be. And the only reason to blame us, the only thing to blame for that, is the board and the way that they've acted and the terrible recruitment that they've put us through. Mahwanisi, let's get him. Yeah, we've seen Martin O'Neill last night at Fir Park. I'd like to think that's in regards to potentially doing a deal for Mahwanisi. Whether that's now or at the end of the season when his contract expires, God knows. But I would like to think we're in about there. I think he looks a great player. And I think he would definitely give us an option if we could have him in this month, but Motherwell will be clinging on for dear life to keep him as they charge for European football. Aiden saying Vind is a must. Real lack of height in our team as well. Yeah, that's one point about Jonas Vind that I never even spoke about. What is he? He's like 6'3", I think. He's a big lad. We've not had a striker like that since Giacomakis left. Well, actually, I talk shite Adamida, but Adamida was a weird one. Adamida had all the traits to be a physical striker, but he was always a bit soft. You know, whereas Giacomakis, I felt like he was a real physical presence. So, I told you, I'm all in. I'm all in on Jonas Vind. And I feel like Celtic should be all in there as well. Whether or not he'd want to move to Celtic is a different story. There are probably other options on the table for him, and his agent will be exploring those options. But I certainly think we should be exploring it. Thank you to Nathan for the donation, mate. I appreciate it. Saying, get me in, 5 to 8 crutches, disabled goal store. Nathan, I'll phone Michael for you, son. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it, mate. Kieran, Ryan, why is Jonas Vind the only reported value at $3 million? Do you not think it's just lazy journalism because they signed Skov Olsen, another good Danish 26-year-old? No, his contract's up at the end of the season, Kieran. Which, you know, his value, I mean, Transfermarkt have him evaluated at €7 million. So straight away, you're going to half that if you've only got 6 months left in your contract. He has been mentioned with Celtic a number of times, so yeah, it could be lazy journalism. You've always got to be weary about that. But I think that, you know, any striker that's out of contract at the end of the year is probably going to be on Celtic's radar right now, especially one that we've been linked with in the past. So I definitely think there's something in it. It's just whether or not something comes from it, which is the actual question to ask. So we'll wait and see. Jay Walker boy saying, if you spend $8 million on Rakisaki, you spend 10 to 12 million on both Mulligan and Maswanisi, or Mulligan and Bowie. It's a great point. I mean, $8 million for Rakisaki, where you could go and sign the likes of a Mulligan, Maswanisi and Bowie for fees that amount to that we know play well in this league. Very, 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 very good point. Listen, what Celtic do with their money between now and the end of the window will amaze me, I bet. I bet that we'll be shocked at where we spend our money and where we don't spend our money. Rakisaki is never worth $8 million, says Celtic fan 67. Would be far better with other targets such as Eric Marcus from Ludogorets or Ibrahim Sadiq of AZ Alkmaar. two names that I'm unfamiliar with, but I trust your word on it, mate. Who is the most likely striker, Ryan? At this point, honestly, I don't know. If I was to put my money anywhere, it would probably be on David Datro Fofana. If I was to put my money anywhere. But I'm not saying that because I'm confident of it. I'm just saying it because I'm so ill-confident of every option we've been linked with. So I honestly don't know. But I would probably put my money there just now. That's where I'd hedge my bets for the time being. Too much inquiring and too much monitoring situations. We need to go in and get something done. What's your thoughts on maybe using Bartlewish as a striker today, since Martin O'Neill said he would get a game? Whatever happens today, we can't take too much food for thought from it. That's just a harsh reality. There's no point in pretending that today spells any solutions out for Celtic. We're playing Auchinleck Talbot. So, I mean, wherever he plays today, cool. I'm fine with it, but it's not as if I'm not... If Bartlewish plays attacking midfielder today, like we've heard, or if he plays up front today for Celtic and he scores a hat-trick, I'm not going to be sitting there going, oh, well, we're sorted. We're playing Auchinleck Talbot. Any other year, I'd be expecting to put 10 past a team like this, whereas today, I'm just worrying we don't get fucking 1, to be quite honest. Bowie's hit. A lot of talk about Kieran Bowie yesterday with that bad miss for Hibs against Dunfermline. A lot of talk about that. And I think that's turned a lot of people off Bowie, that one performance. What I will say is, somebody who I've said about... I've been on here talking about Kieran Bowie, and I've said that I've always been unsure about the money that Hibs would want, and so many people were shouting down at me going, oh no, get him. What I will say is, for the people saying no after yesterday, this is me playing devil's advocate, by the way. This isn't me. I don't know how I feel about Kieran Bowie. I don't think I've made a point clear on him. But does one bad performance mean that you don't sign him? Just playing devil's advocate. Or does that criticism extend beyond yesterday? That's just a question for the chat. I don't have an answer to it. Let's see. Sounds like Bowie is overhyped, a bit like McCown. Oof. That's a damning statement, to be fair. It is a lot of money. 6.5 million for Bowie I thought was just far too much as well. But we are at that point in the window where we just can't be too picky. That's not me saying go and spend 6.5 million on Bowie, by the way. All I'm saying is we can't be too picky. We've left it so late. You see how good a player in a game of pressure like that was for Hibs. He bottled it, so how would he do in an Old Firm final for Celtic? What's an Old Firm final? Not familiar. God, the Rangers fans have think I've became one of the most bitter ones. No, but seriously, in a derby final or whatever, it's a good point. It's a good. As I said, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I've not got a real opinion. I just think that 6.5 million, far too much. I like Bowie. I like him a lot. But 6.5 million's a lot. It's a lot. The board isn't getting his players. Nicholson will shaft us before the window ends, probably. I haven't seen enough of Bowie, but he has no record of being a decent goal scorer, even in the English lower leagues. Yeah, I get he's not prolific, but I think he's a certain type of striker. You know, he's a certain type of striker. I know that sounds daft. A striker should just be a striker. Their job is to score goals, isn't it? But I think he does a lot more. Once again, this isn't me batting for Bowie. I don't think he is the answer. But I'm just, once again, playing devil's advocate. If it was up to me, I would be going out. I would be phoning Wolfsburg tonight. If I was making, this is why I'm not Michael Nicholson. I would be a terrible businessman. If I was Michael Nicholson or anybody at Celtic, I would be on the phone to Wolfsburg right now. What do you want for Jonas Wind? Okay, I would be giving them what they want for Jonas Wind. I would be phoning his agent. I would be saying, how much does he want a week? £40,000. Okay, maybe we can't do that. Let's come down a little bit. Can you do this? Let's meet in the middle. Whatever. I'd be doing whatever I can to get a deal done for Jonas Wind. That's what I'd be doing. I think he's by far the best option that we have on the table right now. If he's a serious option. And I think that's not even a competition, in my opinion. I don't want to be proven wrong of that if he signs and he's a dud, but you know, football's football. Sometimes moves work and moves don't. I simply play the game on paper. I know the game is played on grass, but from this point of view, you can only play it on paper sometimes. How you doing, Mackenzie? Don't worry, you've not missed much. The Jonas Finn stuff has just been reported by the Record this morning, so very early days. Might know that Hearts and Motherwell genuinely have better footballers than us. You could make the case. I mean, they don't though, but they're playing better than us right now. Celtic still have a better squad than any of these teams. But it doesn't feel like it. Or do they? Or do they? I don't know. I'm fucking fed up, really. Nicholson had to get permission from Desmond to spend an additional 100 grand on Luke McCowan, a Harvard graduate. Blech. Don't even remind me. Right, a couple more now. I'm going to have to log off because I need to get to the pub. The bus is leaving hella early. I think the bus is leaving for Rugby Park at like 3. I need to walk into the boozer. So, how are we all feeling about tonight? Are we all feeling confident? We should, like, listen, with all due respect to Auchinleck Talbot, we really should be battering them. If we don't, I'll be concerned, to be honest. Obviously, they'll give it their all and they'll probably get tore in, the lads, but every area, like fitness, ability, everything, we should just outclass them tenfold. So, it is what it is. Right, on that note, actually, I'm going to wrap it up there because I better get moving. Otherwise, I'm going to run late and I don't want to be doing that. But thank you for joining me in this stream. Hopefully, when I'm back on the channel tomorrow, we have a lot of transfers to talk about. Probably won't. And until then, please everybody take care of yourself. It's been a pleasure as always. There won't be a match reaction tonight. Just make that clear. Don't be waiting for me. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. See you next time. Cheerio.